Good morning, everybody. Welcome to part 4 of the 632 build series. So, in part 4, we are going to talk about cylinder heads and valve springs. These are an 18-degree big block Chevy, completely aftermarket design cylinder head. The valve placements are different than stock configuration. The angles and the cant is different than stock configuration. The ports are in a different spot. I mean, just look inside this intake port. It's just insane. The exhaust port is raised all the way up on the cylinder head. These are going to be perfect for what we're going to do with this freaking combo. The intake valve on these is 2.4. 2.4, and it looks something like this in my hand. It's just absolutely insane. So what I'm going to do is on this head, I'm going to go over how we're going to assemble it and set our valve spring pressures and heights so that we get the correct control over the valve in this application. So with every application, the valve spring is an incredibly important part, whether it's a stock rebuild engine or something like this that's a 1,000 horsepower natural aspirated combination. If we walk over here to this 632, you can kind of see where the valve spring goes on the cylinder head. And its job is, as the camshaft and lifter and push rod come up, it hits the rocker arm pushes down against that valve spring. Okay? So there's a huge acceleration force and a hit of inertia when that rocker arm drives the spring down. So the spring's main control in the beginning of this event is to keep the valve in contact with the rocker arm right here. When this rocker arm opens super fast, we don't want it to shoot the valve so far down and these two parts lose contact. Secondly, this rocker arm is going to come flying back up to close the valve at really high RPM, or at any RPM. So again, that valve spring has to be able to drive the valve now closed, following the rocker arm, and gently rest the valve back onto its valve seat. As you can tell, if the valve spring pressure is not correct for the application, what will happen is we get valve float or valve chatter. And that's basically the valve losing contact with the tip of the rocker arm and causing us some issues. The most common times that I see valve chatter is going to be when the rocker arm comes closing super fast and the valve spring and the valve come back up against the cylinder head, and then as soon as they hit, they bounce back and then reclose. And again, we don't have enough pressure in that application. Need to put more pressure in it to control the valve motion. There's a trade-off though. If we put too much pressure on it, you can overstress your valve train parts and start to damage something. So it's a fine balancing act of, we want enough pressure to control the valve train, but we don't want so much pressure that it's going to break something and cause an issue down the road. And there's no real rule of thumb, there's no real equation that I can give you guys of what the right control is going to be, because every application is vastly different. If your valves are titanium, they're less weight. If they're less weight, you need less pressure to control that motion. If your camshaft is now super aggressive, then we're going to need even more pressure to control the valve motion compared to a camshaft that is super gentle. And what I mean by gentle and aggressive is how quickly the valve opens or closes in relation to the cam. So there's no real rule of thumb, unfortunately, but it just sort of comes with experience. Generally, your camshaft manufacturer will be able to tell you how much pressure you're going to need to control the valve train motion. For something like this, whenever we're trying to figure out how much valve control we're going to need, we'll take comp's recommendation, talk it over with ourselves, and all three of us will kind of figure out, okay, this combination is going to need this much pressure. So, as you can see, big ass valve spring, and we have literally like a little spring checker, and it's got this nifty lever on it. It's pretty basic, and as it closes that valve, you can see pressure flying up to almost 675 psi of control. Now this is a very heavy duty solid roller dual valve spring. It's massive. this dude's gonna make a lot of pressure. Because again, we have a huge intake valve that we're going to be opening at probably 6,800 RPM. And so we're gonna set these springs up to give us 225 pounds on the seat and 700 pounds of open pressure at the nose of the camshaft when the valve is at full lift. How much pressure is the spring delivering at full compression? So, I'm gonna start the time lapse. I'm gonna start measuring heights. We're gonna figure out what shims we need, and we'll start setting these heads up. So to start, I'm going to take my spring cup or locator, put it in the head with no shims underneath it, and then I'll take a retainer, pop it on there, and we'll put a couple valve locks on the assembly, like so. And it'll hold itself in place with a little pressure. Now we can imagine that the valve spring would normally be taking up this space, but all we're curious in right now is measuring this height distance. It's a little early here, I haven't woken up yet. So, little snap gauge. Actually, it's so tall, my snap gauge is loose, so we're gonna do a little estimation here. So off camera previously, I determined that I need these valve springs set at an installed height like this of 2.120. That will give me 225 on the seat, and at this camshaft's maximum valve lift of 3/4 of an inch, 0.750, I will have exactly 700 pounds open. So currently, oh wow. So let's pretend that it's maybe like 2.2 right now. So now what I'll do is take these off, pull my cup back out, and let's start with a 60 and a 30,000 shim. And I'll reassemble it. And those shims now have raised that cup a little bit closer to that retainer. So we're adjusting our installed height. Pop our snap gauge back in there. Now we have a true reading. Okay, that's the correct distance. And now we have an install height of 2.070-ish. So we're gonna take out our 60,000 shim to give us a little bit more installed height because we were under the spec that I was originally targeting. So let's reassemble this with now a single 30,000 shim under the intake. Like that. Perfect. Now let's check again. And we are now sitting at a 2.137. So, getting closer. Now, let's take this cup back out, and I'm gonna pop a 15 thou shim. So I have a 30 and a 15. Put the cup back in, put the retainer back in, reassemble the locks, pop that up. And now this should be our perfect 2.12. 2.1165. That's about as close as we're gonna get. Only 4 thou difference. I'm totally happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and put the same shims in the other 3 intakes, and then we'll check each of them to make sure there's no differences in the valve lengths or the valve seat heights. So we'll start on this far cylinder, and this is already set to the height I want, so all I can do is just a feel. I know that's perfect. Recheck ourselves over here. Just perfect fit. There it is. These are all probably within 3 or 5 thousandths of each other, and they don't make shims that thin. The thinnest one they make is a 15, so that's our adjustment interval. Okay, this one is a little bit tighter. Let's see what this just gave us. So this one's 2.10. So there's a difference there. So I'm going to take this back apart, and I'm going to take out that 15er that we put in. Pop this back together. And this is why on a real nice engine, you want to check all of them. Even though these cylinder heads are literally $7,000, guys, they're top of the line. And even at that level, you still get parts that are, you know, just need a little bit special attention. Make sure everything's perfect. There we go, 2.120, right on the money. So now I know all of my intake valves on this cylinder head are set at 2.120. And now I will final pop the valve stem seals on, signaling to myself and everybody else that this head is good to go. And these just pop on. Okay. And now I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the exhaust valves, set them at 2.120. On this engine, the valve lift is almost identical, intake to exhaust, and we're gonna set the pressures basically identical, intake to exhaust. Some engines will run a different pressure on the intake versus the exhaust. Generally on a power adder engine, or actually most, if there's going to be a difference, the intake valve is always gonna have more pressure than the exhaust. But for this street strip motor, we're gonna run them the same. And so I'm gonna do the exact same process. Cup, retainer, locks, seat the valve, pop this in there. We've got a big gap, and if I remember correctly, when I took these apart, I think they had the exact same shimming on the intakes and the exhausts. So with that knowledge, let me go ahead and start with a 30 and a 15 like the intake. Reassemble everything. And let's get a height. No, they are a little different. I was not correct. That's okay. So let's go straight to a single 60. I think that's going to put me where I want to be. 2.120. .145. That's interesting. Yep, that's the correct measurement. All right, so I need a 60 and a 15. .127. That's about as close as I can get it. I generally, personally, like to err on the side of caution and run slightly less pressure if I'm faced with an option here, because I could put another 15 in it, and that would give me 2.112-ish, or I could leave it how it is and do 2.127. I'd prefer to stay a little bit looser on the springs than a little bit tighter. And we're going to dyno this engine, so if there is any valve train issues, we can take the springs back off, make an adjustment, and get back to making powers. So now I'll pop 60s on all these dudes and repeat the process. .125, nice. And again, they don't make a 5 thou shim booster seat. The smallest they make is a 15. And so we're gonna be happy right there. That one's a little bit, that one's probably 2.12 on the money. And last one. Oh yeah, that one's perfect. Alrighty. Same thing. We're now done with these exhaust valves. Time to pop our seals on. And this head is done with valve spring pressures. All of them are as close as I can get to 2.120. And again, that's going to give me the 225 on the seat and the 700 open that I'm looking for in this application. Next, we're going to use our big pneumatics valve spring compressor to crush these bad boys so I can put the heads together for the final time. Before we go too far, I want to do a little demonstration to you guys. These cylinder heads have what's called a canted valve placement. And that means that when these valves open, they're actually angled towards the center of the bore. They don't open straight down perpendicular to this deck. They come in at an angle. And as the valve opens, it pushes the valve away from the cylinder wall, unshrouding it. So you get more even airflow all the way around the valve instead of a perpendicular valve or an inline head. If the cylinder bore was right here, that valve opens and this side of the valve is going to be super close to the cylinder wall. No air can come through there. So you'll see that on really nice engines that make a lot of power, they have a canted valve. LT Chevrolet engines are actually like that, as well as the new 7.3 Ford Godzilla. Both of those engines come from the factories with canted head valves. Canted valve heads. Pretty crazy. Okay, and there you have it. This cylinder head is now custom assembled to exactly match our valve train and our camshaft profile. All the valve springs are within maybe 5/1000ths of each other in pressure. And this head is ready to go. I've got the other head laying over here on this bench. So I'm gonna do it next off camera. It's the exact same process. I don't wanna bore you guys and show you the same thing twice. Before we can carry on with this engine, however, we are currently waiting on head studs to come in from ARP. We ordered them back in January, February, March, April. We ordered them in April, and I'm filming this video today, August 30th, and they're still 6 weeks out. So, part of the industry right now, nothing we can really do about it. These are bespoke heads that need a specific head stud kit to go on this engine block. So, the motor is waiting. Once those head studs come in, we can mock it up and check our piston to valve clearance. But don't worry, we're gonna keep the videos coming every week on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock Central. And I'll give you all a teaser for the next build. If you know what you're looking at, this is a Dart Block LS twin turbo 427. So, for my LS guys out there, we've got you guys covered next. See y'all then.